Hi everyone, this is Brightly Bengali back with another video, and today's video is going to be a bit different. So as you guys know, earlier today I posted a video called talking about the stories that I'm writing. One of the stories that I told you about in the video is called A Mother's Story of Surviving a Crisis. I thought that right now I would read to you what I have. This is what I basically have because I haven't written in it. I would read to you what I just wrote, and I would let you guys come up with the ideas or give me a bit of criticism, because this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for criticism of what I need to change, what details I need to add, just so I make sure I write it good. So without further ado, I'm going to read you what I have for A Mother's Story of Surviving a Crisis. A Mother's Story of Surviving a Crisis. A mother writes her story about a relative they let into their family that has been harming their daughter. This is the story of Ishpreet Nanda and her daughter Anuradha, or Aima. My name is Ishpreet and I have a large family. I have a 12-year-old daughter who was in a crisis. I am telling you the story of how our family survived a crisis. My 12-year-old daughter came into the kitchen and looked at her sister Medika. Medika had drawn a picture of her and her sister dressed in saris dancing together. At the end of the picture, on the right side, it showed two hearts, and written in pink it said, "I love you, Anu." Anuradha looked at it and walked away. Medika looked surprised and confused. She asked why her sister didn't love her anymore. I held her tight. Rahul tried signing her name, but nothing happened. Medika sits outside Anu's door, trying to talk to her. Anu, or Aima, didn't answer. Sarah tried talking to Aima about the Hindi films her and her friends saw the other day. Aima never answered or said anything. I decided to wait for Suresh to come back from therapy. Suresh is with Mihendra at therapy for his medication. Suresh is the father in the story. Ishpreet is the mother. So if you guys hear the name Suresh, he is the father. Mihendra is the caregiver, because Suresh is elderly and disabled. At dinner, Aima didn't say a word to anyone. Our newest relative, Radence, tried asking her a question, but she didn't answer. I thought that was strange, because Aima always answers any question being asked. Rahul tried talking to Aima, but she looked at him and ran away. Aima is hurting her friends and her siblings. Suresh and Mihendra arrived back from the medical center. That's when I told Mihendra about what's happening. Suresh talked to Aima, and she said everything was fine. That doesn't answer the question on why she wouldn't talk to her friends and her siblings. Could it be someone hurting her? Could it be someone bullying her? Could she be having a bad day? What could be wrong? The next day, I found Aima in the kitchen. I decided to ask her why she hasn't spoken to anyone. Aima said that every word she speaks puts everyone in danger. Aima, what do you mean? I asked. Aima didn't speak a word. She looked at me and ran away. Aima runs out of the door with Medika behind her. The children go to the learning center for the day. The learning center is another way to say school. The whole family begins to fall apart. Rahul started to regress. He stopped communicating with us, he stopped eating, slept a lot, and would lash out at me unknowingly. Sanam stopped eating, stopped talking, and started screaming when someone left the room. Medika stopped dancing and drawing. I don't know what is going on, and I am in shock. I took Rahul and Sanam with me to grab the children. When I got to the center, I saw Emma outside standing next to the swings. Medika and Amitabh run up to Emma smiling. Emma turned away from them and walked away. Rahul began to lash out, so I grabbed the children and rushed back. Medika and the rest of the children run upstairs. I hand Rahul to Mihendra as I find Emma. I find Emma upstairs holding her Kathak bells. I walked past her room when all of a sudden she thrusted her bells at me. Emma, what is going on? I asked. She shut the door and locked it. I go back downstairs to find Mihendra holding Rahul tightly. Rahul fell asleep in Mihendra's arms. How did you do that? I asked. Magic, Mihendra said. Rahul's episodes are usually very intense, but somehow this one was manageable. It takes a lot of energy out of us to help him calm down. It gets to the point where he makes himself sick. By the way, this story was written after the story with the phones, so if you want to hear what happens in the episodes, wait till I'm done editing the story with the phones and I will read it to you. He's been hospitalized due to previous episodes. Meghna comes down the stairs looking scared and confused. She asks if Emma is alright. I said yes, but she's going through some hard stuff. That night after dinner, I decided to write down everything that has been wrong with Emma. I wrote it down and put it in a folder. I showed the folder to Suresh and Mihendra, and she was shocked. Suresh was also surprised as well. Anuradha came downstairs and looked at Rahul. And walked away. Rahul opens his eyes. His face turns bright red. He looks at me and then pushes the talker and the phones on the ground. I looked at him, and he was not happy. This is not right, I said. I have never seen him do that before. He's noticing the change in her personality, and he's expressing his emotions. Ashesh said. Ashesh is Rahul and Sanam's caregiver. Well, I don't think he trusts her like he did before. Maybe he's trying to tell us that, I said. Even if he is, he's not communicating in the way he used to, Mihendra said. We need to figure out what's wrong with Emma and fix this situation. And get this situation fixed immediately, I said. After talking through how to fix this problem, we decided to investigate and get a therapist. We brought it up to Emma, and she said no, but we kept on insisting. After about 10 minutes of talking to her, she finally agreed to therapy. Emma went back upstairs and can be heard singing. She was singing a Bollywood tune. I couldn't tell what exactly she was singing. A few minutes later, Emma can be heard dancing. The next day, I go downstairs. I find Anu in the kitchen, drawing up Rahul's meds. I looked at her carefully, and she looks back at me. I wanted to ask her about what happened to her in a casual way. She didn't say anything. just kept on drawing up Rahul's meds. After she finished, she put the meds in the medication box on the phone. She connects an IV that is connected to the phones. She connects the phones together with their magnets, which are attached to them on the sides. I press the button on the top of the phones, and they make a noise. The phones administer his meds. Rahul looks at Emma with frustrated eyes. I reassure him and tell him everything is okay. He begins to calm down, and Emma goes back upstairs. I look at Rahul, and he is still not happy. Emma comes back downstairs and looks at Rahul again. Rahul looks back at Emma, and she runs back upstairs. What is this? I ask. I don't know. I feel like we have to install cameras in Rahul's room, Ashesh said. I continue writing down the strange things my child has done. A few minutes later, we were all outside. The children were playing out in the backyard when all of a sudden, Anuradha looked at Rahul in terror. Rahul gets so scared that he jumps and screams really loud. Before I even turn to grab Rahul, Emma runs up to me and grabs my arms. I can feel her fingers grabbing my skin, and I try to escape. He'll be in danger if you touch him, she said. I look at Emma's facial expression, and her face is pure bright red. Steam comes out of her eyes. I call for Ashesh, Mihendra, and Suresh to come. They come out, and I filled them in on what happened. Ashesh takes Rahul back inside to keep him away from Emma. Mihendra takes the children inside to keep them away from her. I take Emma inside and hold her tight. Emma's bird Amiru follows us to her room. I sit with her in my arms and sing to her. I sing the song Jaan Se Guzarte Hai, which is one of her favorite songs. Okay. She starts singing along with me, and she even dances. Emma's switching is very odd. This has nothing to do with Rahul, but Emma is scared of certain people. It's not Rahul that is scaring her. It's someone else in this family. I decided to call a detective and investigate. The detective's name is Anvay Rajput. I told Detective Rajput what has been going on for the past few days. Detective Rajput writes everything. Detective Rajput wrote everything that I was saying down and asked me a few questions. I sent Detective Rajput the written notes about how Emma started acting strange and how the whole family is torn apart. Detective Rajput recommended that Emma start seeking therapy. I wrote down the names of 3 different therapists. I researched each one of them, and I found the perfect one. The therapist's name is Sitara. Detective Rajput said to call the therapist if she starts getting worse. Progressively, Emma began to deteriorate, and it got intense. After dinner, I decided to check in to Emma's room. I looked around and I saw a small piece of paper with writing on it. I read the writing, and I was shocked. It said everyone is in danger and no one trusts her. It also said that if she were to speak, everyone would be in danger. I placed it on the side of her bed. Emma kept on getting worse. At dinner, before I found the writing, she wouldn't eat. She'd just stare at her plate. Then, as soon as I asked her about what happened, she just walked away. Medika stopped singing like usual, and Rahul kept lashing out at me every time he saw Emma. All I can do was just hold him and tell him Emma loves him. Sanam, on the other hand, has really bad separation anxiety. Ashesh is always in the room with him, and Mihendra comes in if Ashesh leaves to help with Rahul. Ashesh and I have to take Rahul to therapy. No, not the mental health therapy. Rahul has physical and speech therapy. Mihendra and Suresh stay with Emma and the other children. I send the document of Emma's notes to Mihendra. I take Rahul to therapy while Anuradha stays with Suresh and Mihendra. Therapy was painful. Rahul stared at the wall. I reassured him that it was okay. His therapist, Rashad, tried to get him to participate in physical therapy. I filled Rashad in on our crisis. Next was the speech. Speech was twice as painful as physical therapy. Rahul didn't want to communicate with the phones to his therapist. I had to fill in his therapist, Inaya, on what has been happening. Rashad and Anaya understood what we were going through and were willing to help us. Rashad decided to do an Indian classical music session where he would sing to Rahul. Anaya decided to do music therapy with him. They decided to travel to us, which I said was fine because we're about 10 minutes away. Both therapy sessions are done in a rehab center in one room. When I got back with Rahul, I asked Suresh and Mihendra to fill me in on what happened with Anu. If I ever switch names throughout the story, Anuradha is her birth name and Emma is her adopted name. It's still the same person. Mihendra said that Emma is singing Hindi songs with her friends. I told Mihendra about the painful therapy sessions. She felt bad. Sanam gets physical and speech therapy with Rashad and Anaya every 2 weeks, while Rahul gets them twice a week. Ashesh was with Rahul trying to calm him down. He was having an episode, so I immediately gave him his medication. Within about 5 minutes, Rahul's meds kicked in and he was calm. I felt bad for him. Emma was the one he trusted. Emma just looked at him, and every time he sees her, he attacks me. I wanted to scream at her. And tell her what she was doing to us. Emma really didn't do anything wrong. It's something that she is not saying to us. I decided to call someone to install cameras in Emma's room and in Rahul's room. In Emma's room and in Rahul's room. I wanted Sanam to stay in Ashesh's room. I don't feel safe with him in his room. I called Detective Rajput and filled him in on what's happening. A few hours later, the cameras were installed by Satvi Srichandan. Satvi said she would stay with us and she said that Emma won't notice the cameras. I could hear Emma Kathak dancing and singing with her friend Meghna. I was preparing dinner when I heard Emma coming downstairs. I turned to look, and she was walking towards Rahul. I was hoping she wouldn't run away from him, and she didn't. As I continued looking, I saw her give Rahul something. I looked at what it was, and it was a picture of the both of them together. She hugged him tightly and took him out of Ashesh's arms with his permission. I saw Emma take Rahul to Satvi and introduce him to her. Satvi took Rahul out of her arms. Rahul jumps and Satvi reassures him. Emma came out to me and said something that I've never heard her say. I know Rahul doesn't trust me, but I still love him, she said to me. I hug her tightly. I tell her Rahul is noticing the switch in her personality and he's trying to express his emotions. She understands and goes back upstairs. I hear Rahul start to lash out at Satvi. The phone's emotion sensors activate and help him cope using different methods. After a few different methods, including talking through feelings, singing, and open-ended questions about what's happening, the phones play soft music and calm sounds. Rahul calms down and falls asleep in Satvi's arms. Well, sounds like someone has been through a lot, Satvi says to me. I fill her in on all his disabilities and his story. Rahul hears what I'm saying and immediately bursts into tears. Satvi and I sing to him and he calms down. A few hours later, Rashad and Anaya arrive to start Rahul's therapy. We bring Rahul outside in a field across the street from us. I take Rahul out of the wheelchair and put him down on a soft blanket. The wind blows a soft breeze as Rashad starts the tanpura and a tal. I showed Rashad Ahana and Avani's active sounds. Yes, I said active sounds. I tell Rashad about the phones, since he doesn't use them for physical therapy. In physical therapy, Rashad focuses on Rahul's grasping and hand movements. He practices gently moving Rahul's hands, opening and closing his fingers a little more, and holding on to different small items. Rashad connects his phone to Ahana and Avani and plays the tanpura and the tal. A tanpura is a traditional Indian instrument that is long and has 4 to 6 strings that are plucked. Instead of playing a melody, its purpose is to play a tune that keeps a vocalist or an instrumentalist on key. So if you ever listen to like Dil Ki Tapish, the intro is the tanpura. The tal is a rhythmic time signature. For example, a 16 tal is like this. Okay, so the 16 beat tal is called the tin tal. So before I recite it, I'm gonna clap out the beat of it so that you guys can get what the tin tal is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like that. So how to recite it is like this. Da dim dim da da dim dim da da. Okay, so it's da. Okay, I'm gonna do it slowly. Da dim dim da da dim dim da na din din da din da din din da. So now let's do it with the beat. Da din dim da da dim dim da na din din da din da din din da. So the tabla plays the tin tal, the da dim dim da, and then to keep track of the rhythmic time signature, it's you clap on the da. So the very first beat. Da, dim, dim, da, da, dim, dim, da, na. So da, dim, dim, da, dim, dim, da, na, dim, dim, da, dim, da, dim, dim, da. So you clap on the first beat, which is called like the kali. There's a word for it, but it's like the first beat, but you don't clap on the na, dim, dim, da, dim, da, dim, dim, da. That's basically what it is. Writing it is not easy, but reciting it is easy. Rahul's eyes begin to shine with happiness as the sun beams brightly on his face. Rashad starts singing some type of bundish, which is an Indian classical song. I turn the volume up on Rahul's hearing aids so he can hear more clearly. I see Rahul's eyes tear up, and I gently join in and sing softly. Anaya sings one part of the song, and I sing another part. Each of us take turns singing Indian classical songs to Rahul. Rashad didn't question him or push him to his limit. When Rashad's therapy ended, it was time for Anaya to start her session with him. This was going to be a hard transition as Rahul finds it difficult to switch from one thing to another. I decided to go inside with Rashad and give him a tour of the house and check on Emma. As I continue taking Rashad around the house, Emma comes up to me. "Is Rahul in danger?" she asked me. "No, he's protected," I told her. "That's good. If someone touches him, he'll be in danger. He's already threatened." "He's already threatened?" Emma said. I look at her. "Emma, what are you talking about? Rahul is not in danger. He's not threatened either," I said. "If someone hurts our family, it won't be good," Anu said. Rashad looks at me. "This is what's been happening, but everyone is okay," I said. "That's good. I'm excited to stay and help," Rashad said. Emma's bird Amiru, along with the other baby birds, climb on Rashad. "They are pretty little things. What are they called?" he asked. "Asian koels," I said back. I leave Rashad inside with the babies and go back outside to check on Rahul. I can hear Anaya talking to Rahul. I sit next to Rahul and ask Anaya what happened. Anaya told me that Rahul got scared and cried. Anaya reassured him and said that angels are next to him. Rahul finally typed out the name Vasantrao Deshpande, who was Rahul's grandfather. Look it up. I'm not joking about the Vasantrao thing. And Anaya told him that he was there. I felt my heart drop as Anaya was telling me this. I hugged Rahul tightly and cried along with him. Anaya starts singing in English to Rahul. Anaya takes Rahul out of my arms and paces back and forth around the field. I was listening to Anaya sing about nature to Rahul when I heard 3 loud screams and something shatter. I immediately run back to check on everyone, when suddenly Emma comes up to me. She was violently shaking to the point where she couldn't even stand. She was screaming so loud that she scared some of our friends down the block. I asked Mihendra what happened, and she said she was having some type of episode. I carry her into the room and start singing Jaan Se Guzarte Hai again. She starts singing and dancing with me. Anj comes into the room. I look at Anj, who was who is just staring at Anu. A few minutes later, Inaya comes back in with Rahul. She puts Rahul in his room and closes the door. After dinner, everyone was sitting around talking to each other. That night, after Emma's episode, I was lying in bed next to Sanam. I was staring at the ceiling when I heard a voice coming from my daughter's room. I call Mihendra to come be with Sanam, and she comes. I open the door and I see a paper under the door. I grabbed it from underneath the door and began to read it. Emma had said she was better off in silence and in darkness. I immediately called Sitara and left a message. The next morning, Sitara calls back and says she would like to see Anyurata now. I take Anyurata to the clinic to talk with Sitara. I wait in the waiting room while Emma and Sitara talk privately. Sitara and Emma come out to meet me. Sitara tells me that Emma has been silent Emma has been silent and is not ready to tell what happened. I told her the story from the start, and she understood. When we get back, Emma asks to speak with everybody. I say yes and call the children and Mihendra to come. When everyone is downstairs with us, Emma begins to tell us why she has been so protective and upset. She tells us that there is a relative in our family that has been hurting her physically, emotionally, and mentally. She said that she loves everyone and she's sorry for startling Rahul. I said it was okay, and we love her too. She also said that she came to look at Rahul because this relative was threatening to hurt him again. I was in shock at what I heard. I carried Rahul to Rashad when I saw something that was not right. His entire bed was wet. Rashad takes Rahul from me and cleans up the mess. He changes him and washes the blankets. The afternoon after Emma talks to us, I decided to get Rahul communicating again. I knew it was going to be hard, but I wanted to give it a try. I asked him some yes and no questions. One of the questions was if he felt safe. He tries to press the buttons on his talker, but he stops. I don't pressure him. I just change the question to something else. I ask him if he wanted to talk to me about anything. He tried pressing the buttons, but he just stared at me. I didn't keep trying. I just let him have his time to himself. Sanam's brother Samar comes to me in tears. I hug Samar and tell him that Sanam is alright. Rahul is much worse than Sanam. Rahul's behavior increases more as Anyurata progressively deteriorates each day and night. She kept checking Rahul and seeing if he was okay. She also started increasing Rahul's dosage of medicine. I'm guessing it's because she's scared that this relative will poison him and he'll feel the sensation. I finally decided to write a letter to Emma. In the letter, I expressed how deeply I cared about her. I also said that everyone else loved her. I said that it was now time to speak. To speak up and tell me who has been hurting her. I said that she can tell me whenever she is ready. whenever she's ready, and that everyone will be safe. I said that I loved her sincerely, and so did everyone else. I set the letter down outside of her doorway. I wait for her to read it and tell me. A few minutes later, Ava opens the door a crack. I listened intently as I heard Emma talking through the doorway. I listened carefully and I could make out a few words like, I'm sorry, and she, and he hurt me. I pressed my ear against the door and keep listening. Anyurata then opens the door. I came inside her room. She sits next to her, and she sits next to her. I sit next to her, and I begin asking questions to find out who was hurting her. Emma asks me if she can tell me the story in a different way. I said yes, and she started playing the song Pehla Nasha. She sang her story to that tune. Guys, I don't know how the heck you can sing a story to a Bollywood tune. Like, pfft. She sang about how Radiance was the one who was hurting her. She also sang about how Radiance tampered with Rahul's meds, but Ashesh would immediately notice. She also sang about how Radiance has threatened to hurt Rahul and has physically grabbed him. She finishes singing about how Rahul would be put in a dark room with nothing to communicate with. Then she told me that he would get along with Rahul when Emma was around. When Emma was around. That needs to be changed because it's not proper. But when he saw Emma, he would attack her in front of Rahul. She told me that one day Raiden screamed at her while she was helping Rahul during an episode. Raiden got along with Rahul and Emma really well, but somehow he switched personalities. I hugged Anu tightly and I said I would figure it out with Radiance. I exit her room and go search for Radiance. I find Radiance in Rahul's room with one hand on his chest. He was talking to Rahul quietly. I heard him saying he was sorry and he said he would never attack him again. I immediately ran up to Radiance and grabbed him by his arm. Radiance looked at me and he almost screamed. I began to confront Radiance about what he was doing to Anyurata and Rahul. Radiance screamed at me. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was protecting him, he screamed. I was threatening Emma because I wanted her to be with me and not Rahul. It's not what it sounds like, he said. You're the one who has been terrorizing our family and making us fall apart. No wonder why Anu stayed silent about No wonder why Anu stayed silent. It's all you. This is all your fault, Radiance, I said angrily. Radiance ran out of the house and into the streets. Anyurata comes up to me with a smile on her face. You did it, Mom. Now we just need to get him to understand why I'm with him. I don't know why he would tamper with his medication, she said to me. I know. I don't get it either. We need to get him to understand what's happening with Rahul, but without Rahul knowing, I said. Why without him knowing? Anu asked. Rahul doesn't like hearing about what happened to him. It's too painful for him. When Sattvi and I were talking about it, he cried because he heard us talking about it. Specifically me. I replied. I see, she said to me. After Emma and I talked about it, we decided to talk to Radens about what he thinks about Rahul. We searched for Radens and we couldn't find him. We searched around the entire block and even the entire neighborhood, but we still couldn't find him. Then, a few seconds later, I heard someone singing. Emma and I start walking towards the sound. We keep walking when suddenly we see Radens holding Rahul. Ashish and Parvati were on both sides of Radens. Emma and I observed and watched if Radens would do something to Rahul. He didn't. He just held him close and sang. I carefully watched Rahul, and he was calm and half asleep. That's all I have for a mother's story of surviving a crisis. I hope you like it.